On today's episode of YYE, Your Yonge and Eglinton, we're doing something a little bit different. We're talking about the history of Yonge and Eglinton, presented by Morgan Cameron Ross and Bosley Real Estate.
I won't live until I die, and I work hard for my whole life. Lord,
Today we're talking about the history of Yonge and Eglinton.
Yonge and Eglinton has undergone substantial change since its inception as a rural community in the early 19th century. European settlers arrived and set up shop predominantly as cattle farmers, naming the area the Village of Eglinton. In fact, the Village of Eglinton was the largest cattle grazing area in all of Upper Canada at the time. Now, this leads us to an obvious and important connection. The connection between Will Ferrell, Christopher Walken, and the neighborhood.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
The Yonge and Eglinton area is argued to have been the first region in the world to ever institute large-scale use of cowbells. The bragging rights have carried on and can be seen to this day on Cowbell Lane. By the 1880s, the Metropolitan Street Railway opened, having a horse-drawn streetcar route from Toronto up Yonge to Eglinton. With this brought a significant surge in housing development and population growth. In 1890, the Village of Eglinton was incorporated into the town of North Toronto, and by 1912, annexed into Toronto. In 1922, the TTC modernized the northbound streetcar route up Yonge, continuing the accessibility and prominence of the area. The region largely left its agrarian roots, and with the introduction of the 1954 Yonge subway line, started resembling what we can see today. What we now refer to as Midtown was formerly north of Toronto, then the north of Toronto. In fact, Bloor Street was viewed as the city limits for decades. By the early 20th century, Bloor would be viewed as Midtown. As you can see in this photograph of what is now named the Hot Dogs Theatre at Bloor and Bathurst, it originally was named the Midtown Theatre. The forming of the Toronto megacity in 1998 really played a role in Yonge and Eglinton as being viewed as Midtown. Transit has always played a pivotal role in the Yonge and Eglinton area. By the 1950s, the area was still low-key, but with the addition of the subway line, the hustle and bustle really started. The 1960s and 70s transformed the intersection and area into a pseudo-second downtown region, with towering buildings, office towers, condominiums, movie theaters, and people. Lots and lots of people. But what's next for the area? The Eglinton Crosstown LRT, that's what. 25 stations long, opening tentatively in 2021. Likely with even less cowbell.
I won't live until